presidential race was held today. There's no way Joe Biden would win. No way at all. And so the Democrats are flipping out. They're freaking out. And now they're taking it all the way to The View. But I actually think that The View is on its last legs, too, for a variety of reasons, which we'll get into momentarily. But first up, look at how desperate the left is. It goes on to The View and uses Kamala and Joy Behar to try and present anybody who thinks differently than them as crazy. Here she is.
And what are you going to do to stop the crazies?
I am scared as heck.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm traveling our country. You know, there's an old saying that there are only two ways to run for office. Either without an opponent or scared. So on all of those points, yes, we should all be scared.
Yeah.
I bet you're scared because you're not going to win, lady. You're scared because you're going to be out of a job. And everybody's going to recognize that there's not a whole lot, this is my opinion, upstairs. There's not a whole lot of there. Didn't you promise to solve the border crisis? Actually, wasn't that on your plate, Kamala Harris? Whatever happened to that one? Root causes. Bring them in until nobody can take it anymore. But as annoying as The View is, I just want to point out one thing. This is my theory. You know, like I have a few predictions on 2024. One of my predictions is that Disney is going to sell ABC. ABC owns The View. And so that means when a new owner comes in, they're going to look at all these deals, right? With all the top talent, if you can call them top talent. I'm assuming that they are more heavily compensated than some of the minions elsewhere within the ABC network. So let's go with that for a second. Assuming that The View ladies get more money than some of the other people. If I'm the new owner that comes in, and there will be a new owner, Bob Iger said as much last summer that he is trying to sell all these assets. And according to my reporting, one of the suitors that they have talked to is actually Nexstar. Whether or not that deal happens, we'll see. But whether it's Nexstar or whether it's a private equity company that's cutting corners and, you know, trimming costs and looking for dimes and pennies in the couch cushions, that means those big salary days are over. Which hopefully means you won't have to watch that show anymore. That's where I'm going, right? I don't think that, or if you do have to watch it, it may be a different kind of show, a show that hopefully doesn't have such egregious commentary from the likes of Whoopi and Joy. I mean, were they always like that? Like, did Ted Danson have to deal with that back in the day? I don't know what's happened to them or why they're like that, but it's that TDS on steroids, I guess. You know what TDS is, right? Trump derangement syndrome. And they got a lot of it in the halls of ABC News, and at The View. And at Disney overall. Again, Disney used to be a great company. Like that was like just a stock that you would own and hold forever, right? Well, if you owned it from the time of 2021 until now, you're regretting that big time because you've lost a lot of money. In fact, the stock price has been like basically cut in half. I mean, it was trading up around 200. Now it's around 100. And people are getting anxious. Investors are getting anxious. Nelson Peltz was trying to make a move on the board. He's a big deal investor. One of his kids is actually married to Victoria Beckham and David Beckham's son. So his daughter, Nikolai, I believe, is married. So frame of reference if it's worth it. But anyway, Nelson's like a billionaire. And he goes in and he finds companies that he thinks just kind of have bad management and aren't doing things right. And he says, hey, guys, you know what? Do X, Y, and Z, and then your stock price will go up. But Bob Iger's back in the seat there at Disney, and he doesn't want to be told to do X, Y, and Z. Certainly not by Nelson Peltz, who I believe is a conservative, by the way. And so they're kind of on this standoff, and Nelson's trying to get board members in. It didn't go through. And so he's kind of, he's rattling cages, but he's having a hard time turning things around at Disney. Hard time. Why? Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen, everybody who works at Disney has one frame of mind. I love how they talk about diversity. We need more diversity. I don't disagree with that. Diversity is great as long as you have real diversity. And when I say real diversity, I mean people who think differently. It's one thing to look different, but do you think different? I guarantee you they don't. Like, everybody thinks the same. They're all drinking the same darn Kool-Aid. So it doesn't matter. You may physically look very different from each other. You may even come from different places and have different backgrounds. But if you all subscribe to the same kind of woke ideology, what good does it do you? The whole point of diversity is to introduce new ideas and new ways of thinking. If you're not willing to hear those new ways of thinking, and you're like, boom, you call someone crazy, as the ladies at The View just called any Trump supporter, 75 million people who voted for him, crazy, then guess what? You won't allow diversity to flourish. You got to be able to have a fair and honest exchange of ideas. You also have to recognize that you got to pay the bills. And so in a capitalist society, you know what? Earnings still matter, which means you can't have the last, 3 out of 4 movies be flops. You can't have $1.5 billion in streaming losses because nobody wants to have Disney Plus. They're like cutting the cord left, right, and center. You got to actually create stuff that people want to see. Like, isn't that part of the entertainment business? Like, right? Like, you produce a Broadway show and you sell tickets. Tickets. You sell them. All right? This is a business. We are still a capitalist country. I hope we stay that way. Clearly, the president of Argentina is worried that we won't. And he's seen that movie before. So Disney, remember that your job is to make money. And in order to make money, you have to create products that people actually want to see. I mean, Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, AB InBev, they kind of learned that one the hard way, didn't they?